In the valley of whispering willows, where the night smells of blooming jasmine and wet earth, the sky does not merely sit above the world, it wraps around it like a grandmother's dark velvet shawl. Here, time moves slower, dripping like honey from a wooden spoon. Zimal, a girl with eyes as deep as ancient wells, sat on the mossy roof of her cottage. Beside her was Jan, her younger brother, whose heart was aflutter like a trapped bird, and Gul Khan, their loyal goat, who was currently philosophizing over the taste of a dry leaf. Tonight, the silence was not empty. It was pregnant with a secret waiting to be born. The darkness was not absolute. It was a canvas painted with the silver dust of 1,000,000,000 distant suns. Zimal pointed upwards, her finger tracing invisible lines between the stars. "Do you see that, Jan?" she whispered, her voice soft as falling snow. "The sky is a library, and every star is a book waiting to be read." Jan squinted, trying to see the stories his sister spoke of, while Gul Khan let out a contented bleat, chewing rhythmically as if keeping time with the universe. Suddenly, the air shifted. The crickets stopped their nightly orchestra, and the wind held its breath. A low, vibrating hum began to emanate from the heavens, not like thunder, but like the deep, sorrowful note of a cello played in an empty hall. It was a sound that didn't just touch the ears, it resonated in the marrow of their bones. Zima lowered her hand, her poetic soul sensing a sadness that was too vast for the earth to contain. The hum grew louder, a melody woven from moonlight and longing. "Is it the wind, Zimal?" Jan asked, clutching the hem of her shawl. "No," Zimal replied, her brow furrowed in thought. "The wind is a traveler. This sound is lost." Gul Khan's ears perked up, swiveling like radar dishes towards the shimmering expanse of the sapphire lake nearby. The trio climbed down from the roof, their footsteps muffled by the thick grass. The scent of pine and damp soil filled the air, grounding them as they moved toward the ethereal sound. The world felt suspended in a teardrop of time. Zimal felt a pull in her chest, the kind of inexplicable tug one feels when witnessing a falling leaf or a fading sunset. It was the call of something ancient, something that had slipped through the cracks of the cosmos and found itself wandering in their humble valley. They reached the edge of Sapphire Lake, where the water usually mirrored the heavens so perfectly one couldn't tell where the earth ended and the sky began. But tonight, the water was trembling. Ripples radiated from the center, disrupting the reflection of the moon into fractured shards of light. "Look!" Jan gasped, pointing. Beneath the surface, a colossal glow was rising, turning the dark water into a pool of liquid opalescence. It wasn't a fish, nor a boat. It was a creature woven from the fabric of nebulae. Slowly, majestically, it breached the surface, not with a splash, but with a silent glide, hovering inches above the water. It was a whale, but not of the ocean. It was a star whale, its skin translucent and speckled with constellations, its eyes holding the wisdom of galaxies long dead. Gul Khan froze, a half-chewed flower hanging from his mouth. witnessing a miracle. The star whale floated there, a cathedral of light in the darkness of the valley. It opened its mouth, and the sad hum they had heard earlier transformed into a visible wave of energy, rippling through the air like heat over asphalt. Zimal stepped forward, her fear washed away by an overwhelming wave of empathy. "It has fallen," she murmured, her voice trembling with emotion. "It fell from the river of heaven." The creature turned its massive head toward them. Its eyes were vast pools of sorrow, seeking recognition in a world that was too small for its spirit. It was a refugee from the stars, stranded by gravity, heavy with a loneliness that crushed the air around it. Jan hid behind Zimal, but peeking out, he asked, "Is it crying?" Zimal nodded slowly. "Yes, Jan. Even the stars cry when they lose their way." Communication happened not through words, but through the heart, the universal language of the soul. Zimal closed her eyes and projected a feeling of safety, of home. The whale responded with a mental image, a vast, swirling current of stardust high above, a pod of other star whales singing a lullaby that kept the universe spinning. It had chased a falling comet and ventured too low, getting caught in the dense, heavy atmosphere of Earth. Now it was too heavy to rise back up. Gul Khan, sensing the creature's distress, trotted forward and bleated softly, nudging the air toward the whale as if offering comfort. It was a moment of profound connection. A village girl, a boy, a goat, and a cosmic giant, united by the fragile thread of compassion. The air smelled of ozone and ancient dust, a scent that belonged to the void between worlds. Zimal knew that physical strength could not lift this creature. Only the buoyancy of hope could break the chains of gravity. "We must remind it of who it is," Zimal said, her eyes snapping open with determination. "It has forgotten its song because the gravity of Earth is too heavy with silence." She turned to Jan. "Sing, Jan. Sing the lullaby Mother used to hum." Jan, though hesitant, began to hum a simple, wavering tune. Zimal joined in, her voice adding lyrics of flight and freedom, weaving poetry into the melody. "You are the child of the endless night, the swimmer of the silver stream." Gul Khan, caught in the rhythm, tapped his hooves on the stones. The sound was small against the vastness of the night, but it was pure. It was a spark in the dark. As their voices rose, nature began to respond. The fireflies, thousands of them, rose from the tall grass like rising embers from a bonfire. They swirled around the star whale, drawn to its celestial magnetism. The whale's internal light began to pulse brighter, syncing with the heartbeat of the children's song. The heavy sadness that anchored it began to dissipate, replaced by a shimmering lightness. The creature let out a sound, not a moan this time, but a tentative note of joy, a vibration that made the water and the lake dance. "It's working," Jan shouted, clapping his hands. "It remembers," Zimal smiled, tears glistening in her eyes like diamonds. "Yes, the soul never forgets its home. It only needs a reminder." The connection between the earth and the sky was being restored, stitched together by the innocence of kindness. The star whale began to ascend, inch by inch, foot by foot, It defied the earth's hold. The water beneath it settled as the pressure lifted. The creature spiraled upward, a ribbon of light unraveling into the dark expanse. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain and stardust, swirling around Zimal and John, blowing back their hair and clothes. Gul Khan bleated a triumphant farewell, looking up with wide vertical pupils. The whale did not just fly, it swam through the air, its fins pushing against the currents of the wind as if they were water. It was a return to grace, a restoration of balance. Zimal felt her own spirit soar with it, understanding that helping another rise is the only way to truly elevate oneself. The valley was bathed in a spectral blue light, a fleeting gift from the visitor. Higher and higher it went until it was just a silhouette against the moon, and then a bright new star in the constellation of the Great Bear. As it rejoined the river of heaven, a meteor shower erupted across the sky, a celestial firework display of gratitude. The silence returned to the valley, but it was no longer the heavy silence of before. It was a peaceful, satisfied silence, the kind that follows a beautiful ending. Zimal wrapped her shawl tighter around herself and Jan. "It is home," she whispered. Jan looked at his sister, his face glowing in the moonlight. "Did we dream it, Zimal?" he asked sleepily. Zimal looked at Gul Khan, who was happily chewing on a fresh patch of clover, unbothered by the miracle he had just assisted. "Some realities are too beautiful to be anything but dreams, Jan, but they are true nonetheless." They walked back to the cottage, the grass wet with dew brushing against their ankles. The world felt different now, larger, yet more intimate. Zimal thought about the star whale and realized that every living thing has a song, a frequency of its own. Sometimes we lose the tune and we fall, but there is always a hand or a voice or a friend to help us remember the melody. As they entered their warm home, leaving the vast night behind, Zimal tucked John into bed. "Good night, little star," she whispered. Outside, the wind hummed a new tune, a faint echo of the whale's song, a promise that no one in this universe is ever truly alone, as long as there is someone to listen. And Gul Khan, settling on his straw mat, closed his eyes, dreaming of clover fields in the sky. And so, under the watchful gaze of the reunited stars, the Valley of Whispering Willows slept. The story of the star whale became a secret kept between the siblings and the silent mountains, a reminder that kindness is the strongest gravity of all.